You ever swirl a glass of wine and just wonder, what makes it feel so alive? There's this incredible kind of magical dance of flavors and textures going on in there. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that magic. We are diving deep into the hidden architects of a wine's character, its acids. So what is it that really gives wine its signature taste? I mean, you might think it's the grape or the oak barrel or how long it's aged. And look, you're not wrong, but that's only part of the story. The real secret, the thing that holds it all together, is balance. And the main characters creating that balance? A fascinating little group of compounds called organic acids.
You know, acidity in wine isn't about just having more or less of it. It's about getting it just right. If you have too much, the wine feels sharp, almost aggressive in your mouth. But with too little, it's just flat, kind of fragile and pasty. Winemakers are basically walking this incredibly delicate tightrope with every single bottle.
To really understand this balancing act, we've got to look at where these acids actually come from. And it turns out they come from two totally different places. First, you've got the acids that are born right there in the grape itself, on the vine. And then a whole new set of acids gets created later during that amazing transformation we call fermentation. So let's start at the very beginning, out in the vineyard. These are the acids the vine itself makes and packs into every single berry. They set the entire foundation, the initial blueprint for what the wine will become. All right, if the acids from the grape were a band, tartaric acid is the lead singer, no question. It's the most important and the most plentiful acid that comes directly from the grape. And what's really wild is that in the whole world of fruit, it's pretty much unique to grapes. Tartaric acid is just a total powerhouse. It does so much. It gives the wine its structure, its backbone. It also acts like a natural bodyguard, protecting it from stuff that could spoil it. And as if that weren't enough, it helps lock in all those beautiful colors and flavors. Hey, have you ever opened a really chilled bottle of wine and seen these little crystals on the cork or maybe at the bottom of the bottle? People sometimes freak out thinking it's broken glass, but it's not. Those are harmless little wine diamonds. It's just that tartaric acid crystallizing because it got cold. It's totally natural and a good sign of a wine that hasn't been overly processed. Okay, next up in our band is malic acid. The name actually comes from the Latin word for apple, malum, and that is the perfect way to think about it. It's the acid that gives you that sharp, crisp, mouth-watering zing you get when you bite into a big green apple. Now, this is where climate becomes a huge deal. Grapes from cooler places, think parts of Germany or northern France, they hold on to a lot of this malic acid. That's why those wines can be so incredibly zesty and crisp. But in warmer climates, the grape literally breathes away the malic acid as it gets ripe, which leads to softer, rounder-tasting wines. And rounding out our original trio is a minor but still important player, citric acid. Yep, just like in lemons and limes. It's only there in really small amounts, so it doesn't add a ton to the overall acidity, but it can bring this lovely, fresh, kind of zippy feeling, especially to a nice, crisp white wine. Okay, so the grapes are picked, the juice is pressed, now the real fun begins. The magic of microbiology takes over. And this is where a whole new family of acids is born, not from the plant, but from tiny yeast and bacteria doing their thing during fermentation. So, this brings up a really interesting question. If a wine starts out with all that sharp green apple malic acid, how in the world do winemakers turn it into something so soft and creamy and smooth, like you find in most red wines or a big buttery Chardonnay? Well, the answer is this incredible process called malolactic fermentation. And it's not the main fermentation that creates alcohol. This is a second, separate step where helpful little bacteria get to work. They literally eat up that harsh malic acid and convert it into something way, way softer. Think of it like this. You're trading that sharp, pucker-up green apple character for the soft, rounded feel of lactic acid. And that's the very same acid you find in dairy products like yogurt or milk. This one transformation is what gives so many red wines and creamy Chardonnays that smooth, almost buttery texture. It's a massive stylistic choice for any winemaker. Now, not all the acids that come from fermentation are good guys. This quote really says it all. Let's talk about acetic acid. This stuff is the main component of vinegar. And while a tiny, tiny bit of it is totally normal, it's the one acid that gives winemakers nightmares. It all comes down to an insane level of precision. If you stay below about 0.5 gram per liter, a touch of acetic acid can actually add some interesting complexity. But the second you go over that line, the wine starts to taste sour and vinegary. It's a dead giveaway that something has gone wrong, and usually that something is too much oxygen. There's one more acid from fermentation worth mentioning. It's a bit of an unsung hero called succinic acid. It's also made by yeast, and it adds this really unique flavor that's kind of hard to describe. It's a little bit salty, a little bit bitter, and it just adds to the wine's overall complex taste. Okay, so we've got our two families, acids from the grape and acids from fermentation. This is where the winemaker really steps into the spotlight, shifting from a farmer to an artist, using all this science to guide these acids and create something truly balanced and beautiful. So how do they pull it off? Well, they have a whole toolkit of crucial decisions. They have to decide the exact day to harvest to get the perfect amount of acid from the grapes. They have to control the temperature of the fermentation to either encourage that creamy conversion or stop it from happening. And they have to be absolutely obsessed with limiting oxygen exposure to keep that vinegary acetic acid at bay. So, when all is said and done, what's the big takeaway here? It's that every single sip of wine tells a story. It's a journey of chemistry and biology, all the way from the vineyard to your glass. Just remember those two families. You have the ones from the grape, tartaric, malolic, and citric. Think of those as the wine's raw potential, its starting point. And then you have the acids from fermentation, lactic, acetic, and succinic. These are the ones that shape and refine that potential into the finished wine you're about to enjoy. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you pour a glass of wine, just pause for a second. Try to find that bright, zesty character from the original grape. See if you can feel where a soft, creamy texture took over. Ask yourself, can you actually taste the entire journey of that wine all in that one single sip?